Hey guys, I'm Shelby Pesic, and the city that I choose is Center, Texas. To begin, I would just like to say how scared I was to evaluate this budget coming from an undergrad degree in mass communication. However, the City of Center's budget was phenomenal and easy to understand, and I was so relieved the ease I had going through and reading this budget. So I would like to begin with Center's vision statement located on page 17 that states, by the year 2030, the City of Center will be a community significantly larger than its current size and be known as a desirable community with an invaluable quality of life, a diverse economy, an attractive physical environment, and a variety of housing choices. This will be accomplished by a strategic planning approach, innovative and aggressive policies and programs, and a relentless pursuit of quality. I think it is very possible that Center achieves this goal based on the quality and planning of their budget. I spoke with Assistant City Manager James Gibson, who told me that he believes the City of Center is the best small rural town community budget that he believes can keep up with the big dogs. The beginning of the budget addresses that this budget will raise more revenue from property taxes by 8.81% from last year's budget. The total debt for the City of Center is $6,940,000, but it is secured by property taxes, which, if issued out into bonds, would be a general obligation bond. The budget begins with a letter to the residents and then an email to the mayor, city council, and residents that explains the highlights of the budget in a summary-like style of the budget. The City of Center operates under a home rule charter with a council-manager form of government. The City of Center is under Shelby County and is one of the original 13 counties in Texas. It was named after the military hero and governor of Kentucky, Isaac Shelby. The population of Shelby County has increased over the last 40 years, increasing at least 1% each year. The major employer of Center is Tyson Foods, and manufacturing is the city's greatest industry. Now I will overview the 6 sections of budget criteria that has awarded Center with the Distinguished Budget Award. Okay, so for the introduction and overview section, you can find strategic goals and strategies that are found on pages 17 through 20. This goes along with the vision statement discussing quality of life, diverse economy, attractive environment, and housing choices. So one of the goals that they have listed as an example is economic development. The City of Center will be a place with a vibrant business environment with a diverse economic base. So, in order to do that, their objective is to develop relationships with local industries to foster active listening and communication so that the city can be responsive to needs. And in order to do that, they will need to conduct a biennial business survey, conduct annual site visits to local industries, and have quarterly industrial breakfasts, provide market and other necessary data and technical assistance for local businesses. And these goals are organized with a goal, objective, department, and the funding level on page 21. Next, we have financial structure, policy, and process. The appendixes hold most of the city's financial policies on page 125 to 137. The policies include debt management, city fund balance, city investments, and city purchasing policies. The city uses modified accrual for the general fund and cash for the utility fund. Information was provided by James Gibson when I interviewed him. On page 34, it talks about budget amendments, the budget calendar, and budget adoption, and also contact information with questions. James Gibson, Assistant City Manager for Center, Texas, said, the state gives deadlines to set budgets and adopt a tax rate and other dates about public hearings and notices in the newspaper, and our budget calendar is driven by that. I have to kind of back into everything. So based on those dates, Mr. Gibson has to set his budget calendar around them. Now we have come to financial summaries. The expenditure overview shows the 13 departments within the general fund. The 13 departments include non-departmental, City Hall, Police Department, Fire Department, Street Department, Sanitation, Airport, Cemetery, Parks, Inspection Services, Animal Control, Municipal Court, Civic Center, and Community Facilities. The total amount of spending is $4,600,900 for these departments. This is then described in detail by department, talking about the description, the 2015 accomplishments, 2016 goals, department summary, performance measures, and highlights on pages 56 through 78. The same is done for the Water and Sewer Utility Fund that is separated into 6 departments. Moving on to capital and debt, the budget document identifies capital expenditures and revenues on pages 109 to 111. These revenues fund the capital improvement program. The city uses a pay-as-you-go system, and the city states that debt to pay for daily governmental operations is irresponsible. This is a value that the leadership of the City of Center does not subscribe to. This can be found on page 105. Debt limitations can be found on pages 125 and 126. For example, at no time shall the total general fund debt obligation of the City of Center exceed 4% of the total taxable value of property inside the Center city limits. The city currently has 10 completed projects and 4 anticipated projects and their capital improvement program expenditures on page 111. Next, we have departmental information. A lot of department information is provided on pages 56 through 79 that distinguishes between the 13 departments of the General Fund and Water Utility Fund. Objectives, goals, and performance measures can be found through those pages. For example, a performance measure for the City Hall Department was the average work order completions, which was 1 a day from 2011 to 2015. All the goals are listed by each department and classified by year. For example, a 2016 goal for the Civic Center is to increase the center's social media presence, found on page 72. And last but not least, we have document-wide criteria. The budget displays statistical information such as population, employment levels, and local history. For example, the average household income as of 2010 is just under $35,000 and is shown to fluctuate with the state economy. A full glossary is shown on pages 121 through 124. Many charts are displayed throughout the whole budget, and the document is formatted in a very easy-to-read fashion. Some interesting and surprising facts that I found when analyzing this budget was how easy it was for me to understand and read it. And also the detailed plan set out on paper for the city to see that their government is making goals in a step-by-step manner to make the city better. I also found it interesting that most of the water used in the city was used for poultry production, and that the general fund is made up of mostly sales tax, and every 1/2 of the total receipts is dedicated to the city's general fund operations. Some improvements to the budget. I think that it would be easier to understand if there was a cover page for each section. For example, if the general fund had a cover page so you knew exactly where it ended and the other fund began. Also, more explanations under charts and graphs explaining what is going on exactly and maybe what it means. And also, as I will explain later, give Mr. Gibson some extra help with the details of the budget. So I conducted my interview with Mr. Gibson, who is the Assistant City Manager for the City of Center. Mr. Gibson was a graduate from the University of Houston. He worked for Pasadena, where he was first awarded with the Budget Award. Then he went to the City of Jefferson, the City of Pittsburgh, and now he is at Center. Now at Center, he is the economic, finance, and whatever they need done today guy. He is also the supervisor of the Civic Center and the airport. And he is also has the HR person and AP person reporting to him. Mr. Gibson believes that the strengths of Center's budget are that they have great communication between the department heads, management, and himself on what exactly goes on with the budget. He believes they do a good job at projecting revenue and expenses. And from a software standpoint, he believes that going through Excel and their accounting system of Encode helps a lot. Some improvements that Mr. Gibson expressed that they can do a better job on with the budget is they can always do better on performance measurements, and also getting the city council to gain perspective instead of focusing on line item budgets with details such as the cost of pencils, because as he expressed to me, sometimes he believes that the city council can get too detailed and not focus on the big picture that the budget is representing. Mr. Gibson has expressed that the hardest part of the budgeting process is time. He said this thing takes so long to do. Sometimes Mr. Gibson was up at City Hall from 11 to 12 or 1 in the morning. He said it's a lot harder for smaller organizations because you have a limited number of people and you have to wear many hats. During his time in Pasadena, he had four hands helping in the budgeting process. And right now in Center, it is just him being the budget officer and budget analysis. Some thoughts that Mr. Gibson had on the GFOA standards was that he thought for a smaller community, it could be a little onerous. For smaller towns, it's harder to get super in detail and in depth because of the limited number of people that work on the budget. And this concludes my budget presentation for the City of Center. Thanks for watching, guys.